My name is Keisha Williams, and I'm a 10th grade Freedom Fellow.
My name is Chelsea Jones, and I'm a 10th grade Freedom Fellow.
I am Nigel Towers, and I'm a 10th grade Freedom Fellow. And this is our story.
I would say the buildings at my time were actually standing on their last leg, literally.
The facility was old, and it has not been any new construction in the West Bolivar School District since I started working there in 1969.
That seemed that money was always a problem in trying to get everything up to par. They have, in some instances, gotten worse.
We always knew the buildings were an issue, but in summer 2016, something happened that made us consider our school.
I did hear about the gym being burned down, and that did touch me, even though I graduated in 2014. That did kind of touch me because that was a big part of my school's history. And to know that it burned down and they don't have the funds to rebuild it is really heartbreaking. I do have an emotional connection to West Bolivar. It's my heart.
So we went on a journey to understand our school's past and to see what we could discover about where we could go from here. Many of our elders remind us of our community's past during segregation. Mary Flowers remembered an unjust school calendar for black students.
We went to school until April, and we had to chop cotton in May, starting in May. So we'll go to school from November to May, and we'll have to chop cotton and get the crop clean. And then we will go back to school in July and August. And then in September and October, we had to get the cotton out of the field. So we was out of school 2 more months. And then in December, in November, we go back to school, and we until at May. So this went on for a while. This went on for some years.
Jesse Lee Williams and his wife, Lucy Williams, recalled how resources were also unequal for black schools.
Yes, it was different. The resources, it was different because they had the best, and we didn't. So when we get the same results they were getting on, once they thought everybody thought we went to school together, But at first we was something like we were like on the back burner.
We didn't have a cafeteria there, a lunchroom, outside bathroom.
Mary Flowers also recalled the struggle of lacking a lunchroom at her school.
If everything that we ate a morning before we left, which was around 7:30, and if we didn't have anything, we didn't have money to buy food, then we couldn't eat nothing else until we made it home at 3:30 that evening. There was some days I had a nickel and I can buy me some cookies and a box of milk. Most of the time I didn't have anything, or we didn't have anything to eat until we made it back home that evening.
But she did not let that deter her.
Always did get my lesson out. I went to school and learned. We didn't have, we had one book, and that was one reading book, Tom and Jerry, and they had a dog in there named Skip that we read about. That was it. Had a great outcome. Graduated from high school. Couldn't go to college because my mom and them couldn't send me to college. They didn't have the funds to send me. And at that time, wasn't no such thing as grants and what all you got, get student loan.
Jordan Goins, former superintendent of schools in Rosedale, also did not get a chance to freely select his college because of segregation.
And the schools that I went to were totally separate. Didn't even have any white teachers, less known any white classmates. It was totally separate. All right, when I left high school and I went to college, so you have to understand, I did not have an opportunity to go to a Delta State or Mississippi State or Ole Miss or Southern Miss.
Even the hardest working students with caring teachers could not overcome these obstacles, as Ms. Flowers points out.
You had teachers that cared back then, and you had some that didn't care. Most of the teachers cared about their students, and you had some students that learned, and some of them wanted to learn and just had different, had difficult times. Time was just so hard. So even the days that we can go to school, even some of the smart students was unable to pass because they couldn't stay in school.
Mr. Goins gave us a history lesson.
That's when, before separate but equal now, blacks was attending wooden frame buildings, church houses, and so forth and so on. So when people started looking at all the inequities that existed between the races of people in terms of educational opportunities, they came up with the law separate but equal. In other words, we're going to build youth schools, black schools that's competitive and equal to the school facility that the whites are attending. But now, but we found out, and the courts eventually ruled, it was separate but still not equal. Separate but still not equal. All right, now then that's when they moved into integration. And that took place in the late 50s, early 60s, and then moved on up to 65 when they started making it mandatory that you go together.
Blanche Ann Turnage, a retired educator, had this to say about integration in Rosedale.
The word integration was a word. It wasn't in the minds and hearts of people. Well, I graduated from Rosedale Negro School in 1966, and some of the people who were my classmates graduated from Rosedale High School, which is what we now call the high school, because their parents had the courage to enroll them in the school, even though there were death threats and the racism was prevalent and very clear.
Rosedale's black residents actually had a variety of experiences with the integration process. Here's Mr. Goins again.
When I started work in 1969, see, those schools by law were integrated in 70, 69, 70, 71. All right, now. In 1900 and in the 70, 71 school term, if I remember, the 70, 71 school term, then I was on the faculty at Rosedale High School, teaching social studies at the high school. All right, now, you talking about not knowing what to expect. Now, during that time, I had quite a few white students in my class, Of course, now you have to understand where my experience has been, and I'm quite sure their experience was very similar. So we all anticipating perhaps, what is this going to be like? But to my pleasant surprise, no problem, I soon found out that student was just student.
Dr. J.O. Trice, however, remembered how his father, Mr. J.Y. Trice, had been called to Rosedale to help ease the transition.
He came here actually to help with the integration process. They were having a lot of trouble here. In fact, the school closed, the high school. Students wouldn't come to school. They decided they were going to boycott. They didn't like the way they were being treated, and they just didn't come. So Dad was asked to come and help straighten out the situation, and he did, beginning in '76.
Regardless, within a few years' time, the schools had resegregated, as Mr. Goins explains.
Well, what happened as relate now, like no picture, it goes all the way back there. Classes on, I guess it's still hanging in World War II. No picture still hanging on the wall. Yeah. World War II veterans, came back and finished school with 10 and 12 folks in there, and it comes all the way up And if you trace it, you get up to about 69, 70. And then it start going back the other way. But, the whites that was in the school, they continued to matriculate there until they graduated. But then the number coming in was declining. So therefore, as you move through high school, and then Bayou Academy was picking up, and people started transporting out, going to Bayou Academy, and it continued to go, and that trend continued to exist until it finally got to the place that it's almost predominantly 100% black. And plus the fact, it's been a population shift. It's just not that many white folks in Rosedale now.
Still, Brava's board had ended legal segregation, and some residents who could remember the struggles of segregated schools feel positive about integration. Jesse Lee Williams.
But when we got with them, it kind of like all of us were on the front burner. Might not got treated like that, but pretty much that's the way it was. We all were treated pretty much equal, So we got a chance to enjoy some of the best resources that we should have been, but opportunity didn't allow us at that time. But now, since that happened, we can enjoy the good.
These days and time, students is not, they just have everything, technology, everything is just right before them, and they have no reason not to go to school and learn. This is what I always tell my children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, my family. You have no reason not to learn. You got all the opportunity that we didn't have back during those days to learn, stay in school, and get their lesson out. Everything has done changed so much. They have all the opportunity to even go to college.
So we wondered, how do our opportunities look in 2016? Over 60 years after the Brown versus Board of Education decision, how far have we really come? Here's Ms. Turner again.
The school, as everybody knows, is old, and matter of fact, while I was working there, the architects did recommend that they demolish the buildings and build a new school. There was some opposition to that because of what's called the Alamo.
Superintendent Goins again.
But now no schools have been built now. None in this region. Middle schools in Rosedale were built in, if I'm not mistaken, in 1957 or 58. That high school, if you look on that plate at high school, that school was built in 1921, I think. Now you tell me if a building that was built in 1921 would meet today's demand of instruction.
For instance, in my room and in my building, most of us did not have intercom systems working, or the heating became a problem in some areas. It was December, and I know that there was a problem with heat in the main building. There were problems at the water fountain also in the main building, and the last thing I know, the water fountain was eventually removed but not replaced. And so the flooring is rotten in some areas, and that should be of concern to the school board and the community, because we don't want anybody to get hurt.
I asked my sister Jasmine, who graduated in 2014, about the condition of the school. I should note that the police sirens are not actually police sirens, but a video game. Later in the interview, you can actually hear my mother fussing at my younger brother for playing the game so loud. Here's Jasmine.
I was always scared to walk up the steps, because it's when I walk upstairs, I should not be hearing a creak, a screeching sound, because it just made me real nervous. I felt like if I continued, I would eventually, I really did worry about that. I thought that I would fall eventually one day, just fall through the floor, or the floor will end up falling on me.
Do you remember the name of that building?
The East Building, I think. We had paint chippings everywhere. students would pull paint off the walls. The desks were, we had raggedy desks as well. One of my classmates actually broke a desk. He was sitting there and fell straight through the back of it.
Oh, wow.
Some classrooms' doors wouldn't close all the way. Some wouldn't lock. Some had mold in it, and we never knew until the next term. Some classes, the AC unit wasn't working. We had rats pretty bad. Skunks pretty bad. We did have the computer lab, but some teachers they really didn't take advantage of the computer lab, and they were so lazy to where they was like, go home, do it on your own time or something like that. Right. Books were horrible. We did not have, some classes we didn't have books, and if we did have books, we didn't use them.
There are communities in this state that have, you got communities in this state, the facilities that kids go to here, they just wouldn't have it. They wouldn't accept it.
Tequila Mel, a West Valley High School graduate, identified a change in the school's academics too.
You all now, the teachers that you all have now, are preparing you all for state tests. When I was in school, we were being prepared for college and life.
Ms. Turnage, too, expressed frustration with the academics at the school.
That's probably why I'm a retired educator. Okay. Because I cannot accept just going through the motion. If you're going to go to school, my philosophy is learn something every day. Not just go eat. Not just go coach your boyfriend or your girlfriend. But learn something every day. A lot of students in high school now don't know what it is to really be in 10th grade and be on 10th grade level. I had students tested and that were my 9th grade class. I don't remember the year, but of 23 students in my 9th grade class, 2 were on 9th grade level. And they were on levels from grade 3 through 9th. But it was a 9th grade class. We need to improve that.
Here's Jasmine again.
I struggled with English. And I honestly do believe it's because when I was younger in elementary and middle school, where that foundation was supposed to really, if you don't get that beginner's foundation in English, you would never get English. English is not just going to be like, woo, woo, English just pop up to you. You have to get the basics in English to grow. You have to set the foundation. If the foundation isn't set, you will be lost forever in English.
Jasmine said that some teachers did try to help her. However,
the others really didn't care what they were doing. And so we basically sat in class and did nothing.
Some have called for harsher discipline. However, others like Ms. Flowers describe the damaging effect of harsh treatment by teachers.
I did well. I made it to the 5th grade, and that's when my teacher name was Miss Reed, and she was real mean. If she didn't like you, she just subject to flunk you, and that's what she did. And I was in the 5th grade. Had to repeat the 5th grade, but my first year in the 5th grade, Miss Reed, I remember this is just like yesterday. She called me up to the board for to answer a question, and she was so mean to me. I just stood up there and cried. I got scared and stood up there and cried because of the way that she was talking to me. But through it all, she did end up flunking me. I love school, but she ended up retaining me in the 5th grade.
At the same time, Ms. Flowers described how student behavior drove some teachers away.
That was my next teacher name was Mr. Carwell, 6th grade teacher on that same hallway. He was good teacher, but the students just didn't do him right. But we made it through there. I think he left and he didn't come back. He only taught just 6th grade there.
So we were left with the biggest question of all. What do people want the school to do to improve? Here's Ms. Turnage again.
Yes, my ideas always are too extravagant for our school administrators because I expect too much. It needs more one-on-one or individual work. It needs more of that. And I think that teachers or assistants could be used perhaps in a more effective way if we did that. Not saying that you got to come to school on Saturday and Sunday, but if we could do it in more individualized instructions, because everybody we know don't achieve at the same level, at the same time, even though they heard the same thing. And I cannot answer that question without saying parents have to be parents and have to not get mad at the teacher because they're teaching, but do what they can to encourage and help their child to be a better student. And money. Yeah, don't forget the word money. Money is a problem, and I cannot get in that area because I don't know all the details about how it's handled. But there should be some incentives where people don't have to leave here and go to Tennessee to get a job teaching school.
Mr. Goins explains some of the specific issues with money.
The basic support from a school district, financial support, comes from starter to state level. And after you receive your state money, your federal money, any other money to support education has to come from the local payers.
One proposed solution to these money issues is consolidation, where rural high schools are combined. My grandmother and retired school district employee Gail Towers discussed consolidation in her interview.
I feel that schools should consolidate because it gives the districts a greater opportunity to provide better services for the students. And today there's a shortage of certified teachers. When districts consolidate, they're more likely to have the number of certified staff that they need to teach the students. They can purchase more resources and target their resources to specific needs.
Have most consolidated schools met the required expectations?
No, they have not.
Okay.
They're in their infancy at this point. Consolidation is struggling. They're trying to do something that they really haven't worked out all of the kinks. And right now, they're going through the motions, but they're really not consolidating.
But one thing we heard consistently was that no one had been asked for their advice. Superintendent Goins.
You tried suggesting ideas on how they should fix the condition of the school?
Well, no, because I have not been asked. That's a simple one there. No, I have not, because I have not been asked.
So we asked.
The primary focus, I feel, of consolidated school is within a school should focus on the children. Even though you may come from multiple schools or schools that have been separated, the primary goal should be to make all of the students feel and accept the fact that they are now one, that they have a common goal, a common purpose, and they need to work together to achieve those goals.
Many interviewees mentioned teachers.
We need to do everything humanly possible to try to recruit teachers, licensed, certified, trained teachers. You cannot expect subs, short-term, long-term, to come in a class and be a teacher. If you could involve people who live in the district more, who should be more committed because they're part of it. Their children, their family, their nieces, somebody are attending school in this district. And if you involve them more, and they don't have to go out of town or out of county or out of state to find a job in education, then that would perhaps be one way to look at it. All of the people who graduate from here and do well in education should not end up in other states when there's a need here.
As Mr. Gons explains, there are problems beyond money.
I'm gonna ask you a question now. When you finish high school, what are you gonna do? What your plans are? What's your aspirations?
My aspiration.
Mm-hmm.
What job I want to be?
Just what you gonna do? What your plans are?
I plan on going to college.
All right.
At Delta State.
All right.
And I'm gonna study. I'm gonna study to be a registered nurse.
A registered nurse. Mm-hmm. All right. And where you want to practice your nursing at?
What college?
No. When you finish your nursing program, where you want to work? Do you want to stay here in Bolivar County, or do you want to stay in Mississippi, or where you think you want to go?
I kind of want to stay here so I can build up, like I can help people in my own community.
Good. That's good. That's what turns it around. But now, just think back. What usually happens?
People run off. They forget about their community.
Well, now, yeah, they give the appearance, but they really don't forget their community. They just go so they can make a better life for themselves and their family. They really don't forget it, but just go where they can make a better life. And that's where people congregate again in those communities. Is you get to be a registered nurse, and then you get married and start having children. You want the best you can afford for your child. If you can get connected to a community and get a job that's having a better education opportunity for your child, that's going to pull you in that direction. You love Rosedale, you love your area, but then you love you and your children and your family better. And that's the way it happens. Good question. Very good question. What the schools need to do. Now, remember these variables here. The educational success of a school is directly tied back to the population that the school district serves. Now, when I say population, I'm not talking about white, black. These are the variables you look at.
Mr. Goins explained that family income, family structure, and unemployment are the greatest factors around the school's success.
Cut it in the way you want to cut it, but the whole thing's going to come back to play every time. And that doesn't have anything to do with the intelligence of the students in that community. Nothing. It has to do with the opportunities that have been made available to those students. But the perception is that you would have a hard time. Now, people look at ACT scores is the biggest determining factor whether you get accepted to Delta State, wherever. You got to have a certain ACT score. All right, ACT score is tied directly to your educational exposure, your educational opportunities and course offering that you've been exposed to.
What can the school do then?
What they can do to improve is just make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to be doing, and doing the best you can do with what you have. Because now to say it's fair and equitable across the state, I'd be wrong to say that it is. It's just not. And what they can do, other than do the best they can do with what they have to do with, I don't know. Because the structure is of such that you can't change it just like that. Can't do it.
But what advice do they have for us students?
Don't be disturbed by anybody who says that you can't.
And you got all kinds of people come out of those same schools, and they're still doing it every day. And you can do it as well. But now you got to do something. Now you can't sit there and do nothing and expect to get something. You got to do your part. You got to do your part, and it'll work.
So we made our own goals. I will continue to attend summer classes at the Rosedale Freedom Project and Ole Miss because I can get help with the ACT and take classes like water engineering and music and politics.
I will continue to keep my grades up so that I can earn college scholarships and live up to my grandmother's expectations.
I will take the ACT to receive a high score 18 to 24 so I can apply for scholarships from different universities. I will also visit and apply to different colleges to see what opportunities I may have at each school.
Thank me louder now.
Thank you for your time.
It's been a joy, and if I can assist you again, please let me know.
So that's it. I don't know. I might have. You can. Okay, that's the end of my interview.
You can cut it out.